Few names in the world spark as much debate as Donald Trump. To some, he's a bold leader who broke the rules of politics. To others, he's a controversial figure who left the nation divided. But no matter where you stand, his life story is one of ambition, reinvention, and constant drama. From the skyscrapers of New York to the spotlight of reality TV, and finally to the Oval Office, this is the life of Donald J. Trump. Donald John Trump was born on June 14th, 1946, in Queens, New York City. He was the fourth of five children in the family of Fred Trump and Mary Ann McLeod Trump. Fred Trump was a wealthy real estate developer who built middle class housing in Brooklyn and Queens. Growing up in this environment, Donald was introduced to business and competition from an early age. But he wasn't always the disciplined man the world would later know. As a boy, he was energetic, sometimes unruly, and his parents decided to send him to New York Military Academy at age 13. It was here that Trump developed leadership skills and learned the value of discipline, though he also built the toughness and confidence that he would define his personality later in life. After high school, Trump first attended Fordham University before transferring to Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania, one of the top business schools in America. In 1968, he graduated with a degree in economics, ready to enter the world his father had already built for him. Donald Trump joined his father's company, then called Elizabeth Trump and Son, but he wasn't content with staying in the shadows. In 1971, he took control and named it the Trump Organization. While his father had focused on affordable housing, Donald set his sights higher, literally. He wanted to dominate Manhattan real estate with skyscrapers, luxury hotels, and glamorous properties. In 1980, he began construction on what would be his crown jewel, Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue. The 58-story skyscraper opened in 1983, filled with marble, gold, and luxury stores. It wasn't just a building, it was a symbol of Trump's brand, bold, flashy, and impossible to ignore. From there, Trump expanded into casinos in Atlantic City, hotels across the US, golf courses around the world, and even airlines. His name became his greatest asset. Buildings, steaks, bottled water, clothing, and even a short lived university all carried the Trump brand. But behind the glamour, there were struggles. Throughout the late 1980s and 1990s, Trump's empire was hit with financial troubles. Several of his casinos declared bankruptcy, and critics predicted his downfall. Yet Trump had a knack for survival. He restructured his debts, refocused his business, and managed to rebuild his image as the ultimate deal breaker and deal maker in business. Throughout this period of his life, Trump didn't just build buildings, he built a public persona. He loved the spotlight, often appearing in magazines, newspapers, and even cameo roles in movies. But his biggest break into pop culture came in 2004 with the launch of the NBC reality show The Apprentice. Each week, contestants competed in business challenges, and Trump, seated in a luxurious boardroom, delivered his catchphrase, "You're fired." The show was a massive success, running for over a decade and turning Trump into a global celebrity. Suddenly, he wasn't just a businessman, he was a TV star, admired by millions and mocked by many. Either way, many knew his name, and this was a theme that would continue until later in his life. Trump had toyed with the idea of entering politics for a long time and had made comments as early as the 1980s about how he could one day become president. But in 2015, he finally made it official. Standing inside Trump Tower, he announced his candidacy for the Republican nomination for President of the United States. His campaign was unlike anything America had ever seen before. Blunt, controversial, and unfiltered. He spoke directly to frustrated voters who felt ignored by politicians. Many dismissed him as a joke, a publicity stunt, but his message resonated. Crowds grew, media coverage exploded, and soon Donald Trump became the frontrunner, and many people now had become to know him as a politician rather than someone who was in business. In 2016, after becoming the leader of the Republican Party, Trump faced off against Hillary Clinton, a seasoned politician and a former Secretary of State. The race was fierce, filled with scandals, heated debates, and constant headlines. On November 8, 2016, Donald Trump stunned the world by winning the presidency. Against all odds, the businessman turned TV star was now the 45th president of the United States. Trump's presidency was one of the most divisive in American history. Supporters praised his focus on tax cuts, deregulation, and a booming economy before the pandemic. He appointed three Supreme Court justices, reshaping the court for decades to come. He also took a hard stance on immigration, pushing for a border wall with Mexico, and he withdrew the US from major international agreements like the Paris Climate Accord. But Trump's presidency was also filled with constant controversy. His use of Twitter, his battles with the media, and his combative style kept him in the daily spotlight. He was impeached twice by the House of Representatives, once over his dealings with Ukraine, and again following the January 6th Capitol riot in 2021. Despite this, his base of supporters remained fiercely loyal, seeing him as a fighter against the political establishment and a freedom fighter. In 2020, during the pandemic, Donald Trump ran for a re election against Joe Biden. The campaign was dominated by the COVID-19 pandemic, protests, and deep political division. When the votes were counted, Joe Biden was declared the winner, but Trump refused to concede, claiming the election was stolen. The dispute culminated in the storming of the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021, an event that shook the American democracy and led to his second impeachment. Even after leaving the White House, Trump has remained a central figure in American politics. He continues to hold rallies, endorse candidates, and push his political agenda. And when he ran against Kamala Harris in 2024, he won his second election and has now won two out of the last three elections, becoming the 47th president of the United States. This has led to even more controversy with his views on immigration and other relevant issues in today's political scene. Donald Trump's life has been a story of ambition, controversy, and constant reinvention. From Queens, New York to the Golden Towers of Manhattan, from reality TV to the White House, his journey is unlike any other. Some see him as a hero who stood up to the establishment, while others see him as a deeply divisive figure who changed America forever. But one thing is certain: Donald J. Trump is not a man. He's a movement, a brand, and a name that will be remembered in history for generations to come.